Hello everyone, this is Peak Entertainment and we are back again. And we're now just going to talk about the CW network, in particular the superhero shows, the DC superhero shows and the lineup, and what's going on with the shows currently and where they're going to be going forward in the next year or two. So, as we all know, due to this ongoing crisis, certain shows have been unable to complete their full seasons. Normally, the CW shows like The Flash and Supergirl, they normally have around 20 to 22 seasons. Batwoman also was scheduled for, I think, 20 or 21 seasons as well. But due to this outbreak here, they've been unable to complete their full quota of episodes, so they've had to close out early. So the current situation we are at the moment is that Flash recently wrapped up its 6th season on its 19th episode last week. I believe Supergirl is due to have its finale this week coming. I think it's this Sunday it's airing, and that's also the 19th episode. Legends of Tomorrow is on its 12th episode. It normally has about 17 episodes, and it's on the 12th episode. And also Stargirl is due to debut later on this week. I believe that's May the 18th. And Batwoman is on its 19th episode now, or it's just recently had its 19th episode. So, and that will have its finale next week also. So they're all due to wrap up shortly, sooner or later. And as I review these episodes, I will note each time that each of the finale episodes will have a kind of disruption about them, because they've had to reconfigure and rejig events to try and cram them in order to complete the seasons overall. So we're going to look at the current lineup that's been scheduled now for January 2021. So essentially now production has ceased for all of these shows going forward. There will be no more episodes after next week or the week after for the majority of them now until January 2021. I'm not sure on Legends. I suppose they've completed most of the filming on Legends, so we may see Legends carry on. But certainly for Supergirl and Batwoman, they won't be able to complete their full order of season of episodes. So they've been scheduled now for January 2021. And the following is that Black Lightning, which did manage to finish its 3rd season, will be airing on Monday. We will then have the Superman and Lois show that was announced a while back to screen on Tuesday alongside The Flash. Batwoman will be screened on Sunday, and as I already mentioned, Stargirl will be debuting this week. No confirmed dates yet for Supergirl or Legends. Supergirl in particular, we're not sure on that show because it was recently announced, of course, that Melissa Benoist is pregnant, and her being the lead character, that's going to cause huge delays within that show also. So just a couple of thoughts on this. So first off, of course, the big talking point or the big headline will be the Superman and Lois show. So for anybody who didn't know, the CW has ordered to series a Superman show with Lois, and this is very much going to be a family orientated story of Superman and Lois together, as you would have seen in the crossover events. And I believe it's going to have Jonathan Kent and Connor Kent. It's going to have 2 of the sons involved on there, so it's going to be very much of Superman and Lois coping together with saving the world and having these adventures, and also how they deal with family life and having to look after 2 children, and at the same time coping with all the superhero antics. Now, I think there's overall been a positive reaction to this announcement. I know that initially people did like the Tyler Hoechlin version of Superman. I liked the Tyler Hoechlin version of Superman. To me, that had a lot more of the typical Superman characteristics that you'd expect from the character, as opposed to the DCU version directed by Zack Snyder. I know there has been various criticisms that people feel that Superman has kind of been overshadowed or superseded by Supergirl. Maybe not initially when he first appeared, but later on in season 2 and also in the crossovers. So I suppose now this will be their chance to make Superman stand out a lot more. And of course he'll have Lois alongside him. I think they make a good pairing together. There was decent chemistry on there, so they can use that to build up. And I suppose in one way it's actually a novel approach to actually have Superman dealing with family life and kids We haven't really seen that in the past. We have seen him, of course, in relationship before. We had the Superman and Lois show back in the 90s with Dean Cain and Terry Hatcher, and that dealt with them being involved in relationship. Smallville, of course, took a different approach, which was Superman primarily before he was Superman, Clark Kent growing up, but we haven't seen Superman involved with having to deal with a family, so that could be an interesting approach. Am I overly infused? I guess I'm indifferent. I think I would like to Tyler Hitchin's version. I think from my perspective, I'm more determined to see Superman back on the big screen. I really want to see Superman done right cinematically, and it's kind of disillusioning when you hear the various articles and the statements from WB giving the indication that they still don't know how to handle the character. We have the back and forth situation with Henry Cavill. Is he in? Is he out? They were going to do a Supergirl movie. Now that's been cancelled, and apparently Henry Cavill is back in. But of course, he's deeply involved with The Witcher, so we don't know when exactly any kind of standalone or sequel to the Man of Steel is going to come out. So that's been frustrating on that point. So at the very least, at least from a television point of view, they've managed to put out content for the character and keep him very active. So I suppose I have to appreciate on that front that they've got enough consideration for the character to deem him to have his own series. So that'll be very interesting to see. I think it's a good tactic to put him alongside the Flash. Currently this year, the Flash has been the most viewed of the CW shows this year. I think it's regularly pulling in 1 million viewers in the US market. So that's a good idea for the Superman opening show to have him debut alongside the Flash. That's a good tactic. And then we go along, of course, now to Batwoman in its second season. Now I know it's been heavily critical, or criticised rather, and I can't deny that this first season has had its problems, but I am still watching it, so there must be some merit. I would have pulled out if I thought it was absolutely terrible. I don't think it's an absolutely terrible show, but there are certain issues that I think, particularly with the writing and certain characterization and a certain way that they're handling the universe and part of the Batman mythos, that I think needs more fine tuning and correction alike on it. But they're pushing on with the second season, and that's going to air on Sundays. We do know the current situation is that it was screened alongside Supergirl on Sunday, so that'll be its chance to kind of stand on its own when it screens next year. And then going back to Supergirl and Legends, of course, as I mentioned before, where Melissa Benoist is pregnant, so they've really got a job on their hands now. What are they going to do? Because initially, I think the plan was to kind of film as many episodes as they can for the sixth season. So the fifth season would finish, and then they would try and rush production early, try and get as many episodes as they can with Melissa on there, and then maybe they would probably have a break in between, and then have her come back later post birth on it. But it's going to be interesting. Now, what are they going to do now, because they've delayed it to the year? So she would have had a baby by then, I suppose. And again, they have the same situation with the Flash, where they're going to have 3 extra episodes that they're going to try and have to configure into this current storyline that we've got on here. So it will be interesting to see how they handle this going forward on there. What are they going to do? Are they going to try and condense the 3 into 1 episode, or are they going to try and spread it out and farm them over previous episodes, or current episodes for the 7th season? So it will be interesting to see Supergirl in particular, how they handle that. I've mentioned before in other reviews that I don't think this themes and the kind of story arcs for this 5th season have worked quite as well as what they've done for season 3 and season 4. So I actually wouldn't mind if they kind of just wrapped everything up in this finale that we get next week, and then just pushed forward with a new fresh take going forward for the 6th season. But we'll see how that develops on there. So yeah, that's the overall lineup there. We also know that the CW have also acquired The Swamp Thing, which was a show on the DC Universe streaming app. It didn't last very long, Swamp Thing. I believe it was only a couple of episodes, and then it got cancelled. So I think they're going to air the first season again on the CW on here. And I mentioned again, Stargirl will be debuting this week. And I've read a couple of positive reviews on there. Now, I'll hold back a bit of praise on that, because you're not really going to get negative reviews. so early before the show airs, right? You're always going to get positive reviews, and then we have to wait and see once the show airs, and then we get a lot more reviews coming out to see what the real reaction is to the show on here. But I will, of course, do a premiere review when the show is released. The trailer looks very good, I will admit, on there, and some of the action sequences and effects do look very nice, so it will be interesting to see what happens on here. So, yeah, overall, I think it's to be expected that these shows, which run in, year out, and due to this current situation, we were going to see a change, very much so like we did with the MCU, which I did a video on there as well. When you schedule in such these shows which have a considerable budget and they run in, year out, and you have the crossover events as well, so I think it makes sense that they just delayed everything till next year. It just gives them a bit more time to assess what's happening with the current crisis going on, and also they can plan better and just organise their episodes and set out their plans for the current season. So I don't have a problem with it. To be honest, I don't think anybody can have any kind of outrage or look on it in a dismissing tone. You know, it's what happens regularly. We've seen with loads of shows push back their production dates, so it's not really an issue. It'd just be interesting to see how the shows perform when they come back in the following year. And just a final mention, it's been recently intended or announced that the crossover event that we normally have every year will be a lot shorter, and that it will primarily involve Superman and Batwoman this time around. Now, of course, that makes sense again because we know that Melissa won't be able to participate in any crossover because of her pregnancy. And if you notice that last crossover, the majority of the legends were left out. It was only really Sarah and Ray, and I think a couple of others, but it was only one or two scenes that they were involved in, wasn't it? So the Legends will be left out. Again, I don't know, actually, I believe Legends, has it been renewed for a 6th season? Correct me in the comments, I don't know. I'll look that up. But yeah, it's to be expected that you would get a shorter season. We know the kind of difficulties that the casting has filming their regular shows and then having to come over and cross over for the bigger annual events as well. So I'm not surprised by that. And again, I'm not surprised that Black Lightning's not involved because the casting are based in Atlanta and they have to cross over to Vancouver to film the episode. So again, I don't think we can really criticize them too much for making that decision. Again, they want to try and use Superman perhaps to maybe prop up Batwoman, because we know there's going to be a huge investment. It's Superman, of course, and there will be an interest to see what the show is like initially, because like I said, it's a different novel approach, having that family orientated kind of perspective with the show. So I think that's their plan. They want to try and use the initial viewership of Superman, and if they can build a connection with the character and the storylines with viewers and it gets a positive reaction, and maybe they can use that to carry over to try and support Batwoman for season 2 on there. So those are my thoughts on the CW schedule, and I will continue to provide reviews for the upcoming episodes within the next couple of weeks, all the finale episodes and the premiere episodes that we've got coming up. But you let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you agree with this schedule? Are there any kind of schedules that you are surprised with? Do you agree that Superman should be paired up with the Flash? Are you happy that Superman is going to be crossing over with Batwoman? Or do you feel that it should be a lot more of the shows involved in that as well? Do you feel that it's better that we will be getting a lot more smaller scale of the crossover? Because I think it was very ambitious for them to do the Crisis, but there were a few problems, mixed results. I think maybe it was a story that was too expansive for them, despite the fact that they had 5 episodes. So will it be better to just have a much more smaller scale crossover, and we could just have a bit more of a breather going forward for that kind of event? But those are my thoughts for now on the CW schedule. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Stay at safe distances, take care of yourselves, and I will see you very, very soon.